Во-первых, частоту сразу сказали, частота 3,22.
Может быть, я это не говорю профессиональный термин.
Да?
Давайте, ну, в общем, вы мне скажете, если что, если надо будет...
Значит, первый месседж, да, у версабилити, да, то есть возможность использования аппарата очень большая, да, то есть и здесь, и там, и туда, и сюда, то есть везде. Но нужно понимать, там, где аппарат действительно работает и дает большие результаты, и там, где он может дать какой-то результат улучшения, чтобы не дискредитировать методику. В этом случае нужно расставить акценты на том, что действительно быстро и эффективно можно достичь, да, а с чем можно поработать более длительно. Да, то есть это первый месседж, который нужно понимать.
Sorry, I just want to open the presentation. I will need sooner or later. Okay. I have two presentations for Excelis. One is about the Excelis Ultra 360, which is the latest model, the one you have here. So this is focusing basically on advantages of the latest model and is the first one providing the gynecology treatments. But I still like to use the old design presentation where I can tell you the basics of technology. I believe when you're experienced with other RFs, it's very critical that I distinguish what is different on that concept and why we believe it's so successful. Because even after 10 years of the platform, of course we have newer versions, but it's still the most successful system we sell. Even if now we sell a lot of web scouts, but still Excelis even this year is number one in terms of the number of devices installed. So I want you to understand the basics.
Хорошо.
Нужно ли вам сейчас это перевести?
Я поперевожу. Смотрите, есть более старая платформа, есть более новая платформа. Да, то есть для того, чтобы понять базу, мы начнем со старой презентации, где включена еще старая платформа, но потом мы характеризуем те вещи, которые относятся именно к новой платформе, которая у нас и инсталлирована. Давайте я еще один стульчик сейчас к вам возьму.
А вот я взял у меня.
Есть? Хорошо, да?
What is important to understand, everything I say about the basic Excelis is inside your Excelis. Nothing is changed. We are only adding the new features. And we are very proud to say that we guarantee to the very first customers, if they buy the upgrade to the latest one, the platform is compatible. Look at Cinero. They have Vela Smooth, Vela Shape, Vela Shape 2, Vela Shape 3. Every single time you have to buy the new box. With us, usually the user is buying a new applicator and the upgrade of software, which is much more economical. And we want to show that we are really loyal to our customers if they are loyal to BTL. Because we're a private company, our interest is to get big market share, not necessarily to sell for the highest profit in the short term. Long term, of course, you want to be profitable, but it's more important to get widest market share. 10 years ago when we started, we've been nobody in aesthetics. We've been known in the medical market for physiotherapy and some countries cardiology, but nobody knew us for the aesthetics. Now when we launch Vanquish as a new platform, M-Sculpt as a new platform, M-Cell as a new platform, Unison, we are in many countries already very visible. Because we are not well established yet here, we have some devices in Russia, but we believe we don't use the potential of the market. That's why we look for experienced doctors which can help us to get really known here and get a good coverage of the market. But with Excelis, that's a very good example where we can do many things and we upgrade platform through years. It will not last forever, obviously. You can see we developed that 15 years ago and launched it 10 years ago. So one day we will have to change it, but we keep 10 years. This year we celebrate 10 years of the Excelis on the market. So there's no other company in the aesthetics which is doing that. I don't know why we don't use it in marketing. I think we should, but like I'm telling it every single customer because I'm working for a long time for BTL, so I'm quite proud that we don't pull money out of pockets of doctors just bringing new box every single time. So Excelis is the oldest platform, but at the same time the most successful in number of installations. So there should be some reason for that.
Хорошо. во-первых, аппарат уже 10 лет на рынке, да, но не каждый раз он обновляется. Но обновляется не коробка, да, то есть обновляется софтвер, обновляются новые насадки, да, то есть и поэтому плюс того, что технологии постоянно можно добавлять новые насадки, новые показания, новые индикации, да, то есть новые использования, но не обновлять постоянно аппарат, а можно обновлять постоянно софтвер. За счет этого это и большой плюс, но в России это как раз таки большой минус тем, что русским постоянно нужно что-то новое, нужно новое. Если вы не даете что-то новое, да, то есть вы как бы отстаете. В этом почему Пелеве, допустим, да, то есть опять же, если сравнивать, почему Пелеве просел по рынку? Потому что та же самая технология, не меняясь в течение какого-то времени, она просто неинтересна людям. То есть они просто ее, да, что, это было 10 лет назад актуально, почему это должно быть актуально сейчас?
That's why every new upgrade we change a little bit. We keep the Excelis, but there was Excelis, Excelis Ultra, Excelis Elite. Different countries can be a little different. And now the newest one is called Excelis Ultra 360. This I will talk at the end. So we will finish. Then we hopefully practice some body treatment or phase before the gynecology patient comes. But I will walk you through the story of technology, mechanism of action. I talk a little bit about the research we have done, like evidence, and then I talk about the latest platform and the gynecology applications. That's my plan for the story. I want you to know the plan because when you ask questions, I want you to ask questions after I tell you the basics. In terms of treatments, the Excelis, and it depends on certification in the country, we can have little restrictions in some countries. Let's say in the United States, we don't have a claim for fat reduction, so we cannot market it, it's off-label. We can market skin tightening, cellulite, and other ones. But in general, what the device can do is unwanted fat reduction, like localized fat reduction, sub-Q fat, deep tissue firming in terms of body shaping and firming of the fat pockets, let's say ladies after childbirth, pregnancies, and so on. Then we perform skin tightening and some forms of cellulite treatments. For some forms, I mean soft fat, not fibrosis. Wrinkle reduction on the body, on the face, sorry. And what we can do differently than I believe any RF on the market, we can do volumetric heating for the heavy lifting. When you get a saggy skin on the square face, you need to lift the deeper structures than just the skin. We can do that. Out of any marketing claims, I believe technology speaking, that's a very big difference on the face that we do really volumetric heating. And we use that technology or capability of volumetric heating for the gynecology usage. That's not here. When we treat the vaginal laxity, atrophy patients, and urinary stress incontinence. This I will talk separately at the end, but I want to put it on the list.
Хорошо. В первую очередь, в некоторых странах регистрированы какие-то показания, какие-то нет. Допустим, в США они не делают маркетинг по скажем, локальным жировым отложениям, но так или иначе аппарат на это способен за счет гипертермии создаваемой. Помимо этого, за счет этого глубины проникновения, вот эти вот пустоты, которые формируются между тканями при, допустим, при растяжении, да, то есть когда вот эти вот измененная брюшная стенка после родов естественным путем, да, то есть когда вот измененные, то есть плюс работа по целлюлиту, сокращение кожного лоскута, волюметрическое сокращение на лице, да, то есть за счет глубокого прогрева и работа просто с морщинами, ну, как всегда, то есть те же самые примерно показания, что мы в принципе и используем.
Now, this is in terms of treatments, but in terms of technology, everybody asks, of course, what technology are we providing? So it's a combination of the radio frequency, the ultrasound, and the contact cooling. So far, after all those years, it's the only device in the world which can emit those energies continuously and simultaneously through the very same tip of the applicator. The small one doesn't have a cooling. I will come to it, there is a reason. So this one has only the ultrasound and radio frequency. That one has all three happening at the same spot. So what is key here is that we emit those energies continuously and simultaneously.
в один и тот же наконечник, вот эта верхняя насадка для тела, дается охлаждение контактное за счет эффекта пельтье, да, то есть контактное охлаждение, как на лазерах, допустим, при охлаждении. Второй момент ультразвук, да, то есть кавитация в любом случае идет, и радиоволна. То есть все они три идут через насадку по телу, та насадка, которая по лицу, или там идет только ультразвук и радиоволна. То есть там нет охлаждения, но на это и есть особая причина.
One detail, we don't do cavitation. I will have one slide just about the ultrasound, so I will define what do we do with the ultrasound. Okay. So it's for some countries it's very important because in some countries the cavitation is not wanted. It's actually forbidden in some countries as well because they got some bad events with that. So
in some countries it's even more problem for
yeah.
body treatments.
Yeah. These slides, they're just talking about the fact that the terminology around RF comes from the electrosurgery. I'm sure you're familiar with classification of bipolar, unipolar, monopolar. This I don't think I have to lecture here. We are using monopolar for one reason, that we can give high amount of energy in good depth, but we also have a good control of dosing. That's the reason why we do that. But I'll come to how we dose the energy.
Монополярный РФ.
This is basically like a list of advantages, but I'll come through it, so I don't have to do the marketing talk here. We use monopolar for being able to go deep and keep the good efficacy. This is the promised slide about the ultrasound. We are having, as we discussed with Jima earlier today, we have 3.2 megahertz technology. Basically, we want to be able to deliver the energy when we touch only for good control. And because we are emitting simultaneously the energies, we have to have the same frequency for ultrasound. So it's a good compromise for the frequency because with RF it works on the contact, and with the ultrasound it does not go too deep. If we would use, let's say, 1 megahertz, we would be having problems using it on the face safely. We can have some reflection from the bone, and we can have some overheating or overstimulating by the ultrasound. With 3 megahertz, we can work both body and face, so we can have one generator in the device. The device has 2 applicators, but there's one generator. You cannot work with 2 applicators at the same time. Because of the power and the cooling technology inside, there's no more space in the device for 2 generators. So we use the same frequency for big and small handpiece for both ultrasound and radio frequency. That's technologically speaking difficult solution. That's why I believe nobody else did it yet. Because with the same source of energy, we are buzzing both the radio frequency generator, amplifier board, and then the ultrasound crystal in the handpiece. So that's the basic fact about the ultrasound.
Ультразвук и радиоволна работают с одной и той же частотой, что позволяет работать вместе с одного генератора. То есть две насадки одновременно использовать нельзя, потому что они обе зависят от одного и того же генератора. То есть одна насадка, одна аппликация. Но я думаю, что вряд ли кто-то бы делал бы и ту, двумя руками.
Well, their demands actually to have 2 beds, 2 operators, and 1 device in the middle. So people are creative. Now,
I have a journey.
With the frequency information, it's a high frequency ultrasound. It's not a like kilohertz low frequency ultrasound used for scraping or massage. And it's going divergent in the tissue. It's not focused. So with that said, we are not able to do the cavitation. The power of ultrasound comparing to the RF is very low. It's like up to 3 watts per centimeter square. So why would we use it? The main role in the device has the radio frequency, that's clear. The heating is the mechanism of action. But, as you know, radio frequency can struggle with different impedances of the tissue, especially fibrosis, or like fat bulges, like organizing clusters can be more resistant to that energy. And with simultaneous exposure, we are helping to reduce, or let's say even more, the resistance, or to be specific, impedance of the tissue. And we can increase faster the blood flow through the tissue, which is also helping us to get better conductivity. and also better spread of the heat in the area. So the vasodilating effect of the ultrasound, of the mechanical stimulation, helps us to get more homogeneous heating. And if you more homogeneously distribute the heat, the patient tolerates more power. So we have very simple philosophy behind that. We want to deliver as high power as possible with as minimal discomfort and safety, of course, so we can deliver more power, because more power means usually more heat, and more heat means more results. So there's very easy cascade of thoughts, but the technology is not that easy, but the philosophy is we want to heat as much as possible with no pain and no risk of adverse events.
В общем, ультразвук вместе с РФ дает больший результат, потому что ультразвук нивелирует импеданс, да, то есть снижает сопротивление ткани, дает возможность распределения более равномерного тепла, большему накоплению тепла, улучшает вазодилатацию, да, то есть тем самым то есть, дает возможность прогреть ткань более лучше, более контролируемо, ну и получить за счет этого более выраженный эффект. Ну, это другой результат. They have tried already accent from Alma. So they're trying to compare the technology because they promise the same that's ultrasound and RF working together and giving the results.
This is very good. If you know accent, you will like it. Because with the accent they have bulky ultrasound, they have this magical shear rate. No, well, I'm here not to talk about marketing. I am here to tell you the truth. I am a clinical person, so I have the right to tell you the truth. The ultrasound is helping, but the heat is done by the RF. The main thing is the RF. And on the body, the cooling. With accent, they have also cooling. They have also Plantier. But
But it's not work.
I should not say that, it's competition, right? But you will see, you will see. Everything I will tell you, we did gather some evidence for. So we did quite a lot of works. I'm a master in the company of working with pigs. We have a lot of animal studies. They are beautiful patients because they don't complain, because they're sleeping when you do the treatment. And so you can do more experiments and you can verify the theories. One thing is the theory, but another thing is to have evidence. Majority of our works, the earliest one not so much, but nowadays last 5 years, let's say what we do, we try to get some good doctor monitor to whatever we do and get it published in the peer-reviewed journal. Sometimes higher impact factors, sometimes lower, but we want to have it on the official paper, not just the white paper. So everything I'm telling you, we have some form of evidence for. At the beginning, we were not that experienced. But now we did already like 7 or 8 studies with animals, not just for XLS, for vanquishes, but for MSCAL, for MSCAL, the other the other devices. Even for gynecology, we have now the study with animals showing the elastin density increase in the lamina propria tissue. So we don't want to just talk the marketing. Of course, in our marketing, if we have 20 pictures, we will pick the 3 best pictures. Otherwise, the competition will say we are better. Or they are better. But everything I'm telling you, I can prove by the data. I'm very, you can see, I'm proud to say it because I worked for BTL for 20 years. And I'm since the very, very beginning with the aesthetic division. And yes, we were maybe amateurs at the beginning, but we meant well and we grew into the professional way, working with people like Bob Weiss, Dr. McDaniel, I don't know, Brian Kinney, many good doctors which are experienced. So we're trying to learn from those as well. And we are very proud that we don't just use like marketing blah blah thing. So here I show you the temperature range, but later I will show you the measurement from the studies as well. So I have a backup for my words.
В общем, клинических исследований очень много. Все, что есть, все протоколы, вся теория, в принципе, подкреплена сегодня научными исследованиями, потому что есть на это возможность их постоянно делать.
And if I do not know, if I think something, I will tell you that we assume according to our experience, but we don't know for a fact. So this is the picture we use most. We have other designs, but it's basically telling that we can focus the heat in different depths. We call that focus radio frequency. let me be honest, you cannot focus the radio frequency, but you can focus the heat. And the heat is important for the result. The radio frequency wire is the same. The most effective on the top, losing the efficacy with the tap. But if you're effectively, and that's important, effectively cooling, actually you decrease the efficacy on upper layer and you can accumulate the heat in that. It doesn't happen immediately. It takes like a minute or two to create the temperature gradient. And it demands some power of cooling. Now this is in no material written. We want to keep it like our own secret, let's say. So in no material, you can read how much cooling we can do in terms of watts. We say we can cool to 10 centigrades. You can read it here, like 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 or off. But the cooling has up to 60 watts of power. That's the difference between us and Alma. Because with Alma, you can switch it on or off, but it's not actually cooling a lot. But here, it's quite effective cooling. So by decreasing the efficacy on top, you can increase temperature more than 3 centigrades higher than on the surface in typical depth between 1 and 2.5 centimeters. So this we know empirically from the measurements. I was using, and I am using the needle thermometers. Now we have even the optical thermometers, which we introduced with the cannula into the body of these type of animals, but some will have like patients of mine, my colleagues typically, we use the needle thermometer for them as well, so we verify with people, and then later on, not with Access, but with Vanquish, we already did human studies with the thermometers used. So these are the standards, typical protocols for different depths. I will come back to it.
То есть вы снижаете за счет охлаждения, снижается воздействие на поверхность, за счет этого аккумулируется энергия глубоко, да, то есть позволяет держать внутри прогрев хороший, да, снаружи, то есть комфортно. Есть.
What temperature of cooling?
It's between 10 and 30 centigrades, or you can switch it off. I will come to it when we talk in the clinical protocols, but basically we have been experimenting with deeper than 10. But we got problems. A, you don't have to go deeper than 1 inch because normally you don't treat deeper fat. It's not, everybody's asking about the depth. But in reality, the most problematic, the unmetabolizable fat is the one closer to the dermal layers. So that's marketing race for the depth, but it's not really important to go deeper than that, A. And B, if we cool to 0 centigrades, we got some frosting inside the device and we will destroy the electronics. So that's counterproductive. Plus, if you are reaching 0 centigrades, you can numb the skin. The patient will not tell you about the feedback, about the heating, and you can burn them because they don't feel it. So 10 centigrades is a good compromise. We don't go deeper because we don't want to do any kind of anesthetic effect on the skin. And technology secret, it will destroy the device sooner or later if we do it because there will be some moist condensating in there. So that's about the cooling. I will come back to it when I show you some clinical examples. But now, this is the page where we describe the energy flow control. Basically, you know the RF, so you know that if you're losing the contact, if that's the tip, and if I have a partial contact, I concentrate the power, therefore create a high temperature. That's what we try to show with those peaks. I know, for instance, Palade, they have this spring which is protecting if you lose the contact, that it's physically, mechanically disconnecting. But it's a primitive way to do things because the spring can get stuck by the gel, and it's simply, it's okay. It's a very simple solution, good solution for their source. But if you want to use more power, we find it problematic. And by the way, that's the picture from the testing when at the very beginning, 2006 or 7, we were testing different devices, and we burned the patient by losing a little bit of the contact, and the lady was saying, oh, it's a little hot, but she was okay. And then she got the blisters, not very deep, it was like one burn, not bad, and it healed very fast. And she was the light skin type, so there was no PIH. And we don't publish which device was that, but in reality, that was excellent back then. It was with no ultrasound, they didn't have ultrasound back then. You've been the first one with ultrasound on the market. But in reality, you can burn somebody with the radio frequency. So what we do differently, The device is continuously reading the impedance by emitting the energy and grounding back. It's reading how good contact you have on the tip, but also it's recording the contact on the grounding pad. Some electrosurgery devices, they have it as well, with the two area grounding pads sending signal from one part to another. And every single time you are losing the contact, the device is decreasing the power, limiting the power. It's proportional. It's not only on-off like the Pellet, but it's giving more or less power according to impedance, which depends usually mainly on the contact. Sometimes, if the patient is dehydrated, they have a lot of fibrosis, the impedance can be higher as well. Then the device would decrease even if you got very good contact. So this is not very easy to communicate feature, but in reality, that's very important to be able to deliver high power. Because I use the analogy with cars. If you have good brakes on the car, it's a safety feature like we have here. But the best cars or the best brakes in the cars are not on the safest cars, they are on super sport cars to be faster. The same story with us. If you have safety feature, we can be more aggressive with the power because we know that we are protected and we are not creating dangerous situation for the patient. That's what we call the automatic energy flow control system. Basically, it's limiting of the power.
Смысл заключается в том, что если вы насадку отрываете от пациента, аппарат сам сбрасывает энергию, чтобы не получить, не сконцентрировать энергию поверхностно и не обжечь пациента. То есть, потому что на других аппаратах это бывает. Аппарат, поскольку считывает импеданс постоянно с кожи, то есть у него есть автоматическая защита от потока энергии.
And, okay, if you lift it, usually with the big handpiece, because we use oil as a contact media, they feel like a hot needle zap. So we don't recommend to do it. We recommend to establish the contact, click it to start, and start to work. But even when you work, you have worse or better contact. And the device is automatically dosing more or less power. I don't want to make it too complicated, but the number you see on the screen is the average power. That's not the maximum. If you look at the manual, you would see the graphs at the last page of manual where you have technical specs. You've got the graphs showing you the real voltage on different impedances. So if there's a good conductivity, the device gives you much higher power than is written on the screen. So to be specific, all the big handpiece, you have 120 watts. The maximum technical power is 170. But this is average, because you never have perfect contact. It's theoretical that you've got the perfect impedance and perfect contact. It's possible, but not happening that often. So we show you the average power, which we estimate. We want to be fair on this. Okay. That's also in terms of the marketing context. Somebody has 300 watts, somebody has 500 watts. It's just a matter of calculation depending on impedance. The numbers can be tricky. I tell people, if you want to consider good or bad RF, show me how fast you can heat, how high temperatures you can reach. Because the body doesn't care about technology. The body cares about change of the state of the tissue. Cooling, heating, phototherapy, mechanical approach. The body cares about what you change and then it responds. So here we are talking the heat, the temperature. These are the popular areas to treat. Okay, about the verification. The very first study was 2009. It was the very first animal study we have done. So, kind of primitive, but still, they have some pictures for the doctors, and the video shows you the technique. The reason is, if we change the protocol, we don't want to reshoot the video, which takes too much time. The PDF we can change easier. We don't do it very often, but we did in the past, so that's how we learn. What they have on the video, you get large application treatment chapter, which is a little longer, like 4 or 5 minutes, okay? Not very long, but a little longer, maybe 6, I don't know. Then you get a small application treatment, and then you select the body part or the facial part. So let's say I go upper arms, and I like face down position, and then I get, I think like 1 minute video showing me the moves and a little bit how the treatment is done. So this is my favorite position because it's the easiest to treat. We have also face up position. And you see how the treatment is done, but then we show those vectors so you can understand what is the pattern. This picture is also on the clinical guide in the form of photograph. So you have on both documents the same. And then for like half a minute, we just show the treatment with the temperature. This is the model. She wasn't having fat, she wasn't having laxity. Still, the temperatures we show are real on her. So when you see the temperature on her arm, I was not treating for 10 minutes, okay? I was treating maybe 3-4 minutes, but the temperature was for real. So, this is even higher than 43, but you want to be between 40 and 43. Many people, if they do bad job, they tell me this is not possible, they don't tolerate, it's too sensitive. Then on the purpose, on the video, I show the real high temperature because it is possible, it's actually not that difficult. And then, on the face, and I do it on the purpose because you asked for it. Yeah, this is written in the clinical guide. Everything I tell you, those parameters, recommended power, recommended cooling, recommended time, for starters, is always in the clinical guide. So you got this in printed form.
Есть они переведенные на русский, да?
Есть у нас.
So then we were asking the lower cheeks. We were so you can have it in the Flash, but Flash is not supported by Adobe anymore. So we have separate files with those names. So here I was talking lower cheeks. I show you the demo camera. This is the way to do it. Okay, but we will do it in practical. Just to ask the question, I want to answer now when you ask. So I don't want to escape any answers, so to speak. But you see, the video is about 1 minute. We want to make it as short as possible. You will see there's a lot of gel, but a lot of power as well. It's like the price you pay for being able to use for the power. Okay, let's get questions.
Why we need so much gel?
Okay, do you have a piece of paper?
Энергии?
Да, больше минут.
Only on the face. Yeah. Gel.
Body on the
Mineral.
body oil, gel on the face. What do you want to do? You want to dip the applicator inside the gel so the energy can go to larger area. So then the concentration is low, so the maximum power is higher with no pain. If you use little of the gel, it gets sharp, it gets painful. And if you
And
treat,
more focused.
yeah, you treat only epidermis, thank you. So imagine the tip is round, so if this is the tip, this is the skin. If you use a little of the gel, then your contact area is that small. And with the same watts, the joules per centimeter square are higher. But if you use this crazy big amount of gel, more work, messy, I do get it. But then you've got larger contact surface. And with the same watts, the joules per centimeter square are lower, so it's more tolerable. The patient tolerates this power. But if you use less gel, it actually heats better. So people say, I will have better results. Yes, on the skin. But if you want to do lifting, the heavier structural lifting, you know, facelift is not about the skin, it's about the deeper layers. So for that, the amount of gel helps us to get effective lifting. Monopolar and a lot of gel, and no cooling. So that's why.
Если у тебя маленькая, да, то есть немного джела, то у тебя мало, маленькая зона воздействия, да, то есть и очень высокая температура на поверхности. Ты получишь больше результатов по коже, но не получишь результат по глубоким структурам, да, то есть ты не дойдешь по фасам, по жировой фасе, не по поверхностной фасе не поработаешь, не получишь лифтинговый эффект, но улучшишь качество кожи. Если ты много геля намажешь, то у тебя больше становится распространение энергии, и ты сможешь прогреть более глубокие слои и избежать высокого нагрева на поверхности кожи. Тем самым поэтому тебе не нужно охлаждение, если ты используешь такой результат. I think that everyone asking you a question. Can you use the big handpiece on the face? If you roll down the cooling and just use this as you're using the smaller one without cooling but with big spot.
I give you two answers, okay? Official company answer is be contraindicated for neck and face, period. We tried, of course. You can use it, but it's sharp. it's not that easy to make it tolerable for the patient. And I don't think you need that much more power on the face actually. You are able to use it with a gel, but then it's getting sticky because the gel gets like honey and the water gets out of the gel, so it's not that elegant. There is one exception where we actually know it works really good if you get a submental fat. I'm not a very slim person, I have some fat here.
Okay.
I'm not good candidate for the big handpiece. If you want to use big handpiece, it has to be somebody with really chunky neck. But then you have one problem. A lot of people, like, okay, I do understand with you, you probably are able to do that. It's still off-label, we don't promote it officially. It has beautiful results if you treat the big handpiece here and small handpiece here. Then you got really good reduction, good firming, and magical results. But you have to treat upwards like this. If you have a lot of fat, I saw videos in real. I have one in my phone. Somebody sent me over. Was it you? No, somebody else. Somebody sent me the clinic asking for treatment with the big handpiece here, and they were treating this way. And there's a thyroid gland below, and it's more powerful than the small handpiece. Even with small handpiece, we treat this area, but we don't treat the midsection. But with the big handpiece, you realistically can overheat the thyroid gland, and you don't want that to happen. And even though I was thinking maybe we can put it in our official protocol, but after a couple of years, I saw people on YouTube were putting the videos when they were treating like this, saying they treat submental, but realistically, anatomically speaking, they were treating neck. And I don't want to have dirty hands on this. So that's why we officially don't allow it. If you show me the patient with a lot of fat, I'm happy to treat him or her, and it actually has beautiful results. But
limited area.
The risk is too high. People are ignorant in general, so we don't want to allow this officially. On the rest of the face, I don't think really you need it. Yes, maybe you can do shorter treatments or more zones at the same time because you see that we have a small zones. But realistically, you would have to have a really good operator to be able to do that and motivated patient because it's sharper feeling with the large handpiece.
Okay.
Realistically, it's not a problem, but we contraindicate for the
Большую насадку для лица использовать даже с тем, что вы выключите охлаждение, будете использовать тем же самым способом, что и маленькую, не очень удобно, во-первых, она более дает большие ощущения, более тяжелая. Здесь только при очень большом жировом отводе, да. Мы чаще всего делаем биnomial липосакция, поэтому, да, то есть просто овчинка выделки не стоит, если погреть щитовидку, да, то есть ничего хорошего из этого не будет, потому что глубина проникновения будет. Просто прогреть эту зону, опять же, смысл будет, да, то есть смысл будет. Но, опять же, это очень тяжело сделать большим сотком. То же самое можно сделать маленькой. Маленькой можно.
А на что насчет шеи?
Шея, таким образом.
Ну, это я понимаю, таким образом. Просто мы берем маленький насадку, клеим также по зонам, да? То есть сколько мы можем брать минут и сколько мы можем брать века?
Это все будет в протоколе. Если есть протокол, там все это написано.
Thank you. I don't remember numbers that well. I know like 6, 4, 6, 6, 4, 4 here, or we do 8 minutes altogether. And here, I think we are between 7, 8 to 15. Why? Because you can treat, the standard neck is here, but you can treat up to there. I don't think it really is a good idea, but if they want to, yes, but with longer time. And I think like 8 to 15 minutes for the décolleté. But it's for sternum, not for breast. It's just for the wrinkles. And the same for hands. 8, 10, whatever. It's written there. I don't remember numbers very well. I'm sorry?
We did a liposuction.
Ah.
So when we can contract.
Very difficult question. No risk of inflammation, no risk of bleeding. I cannot tell you weeks because you can do tumescent lipo and it can be 3 months. You can do laser assisted lipo with no aspiration and it can be 2-3 weeks. So it depends how much you damage. It's the best in the plastic surgeon is having the device because they do it sooner than any other doctor. If I did the operation, I know when it's safe to treat them, and the sooner you do it, the better results you will have. But you should not treat if there's a risk of breakage of capillaries, of bleeding, or if there's active inflammation still in the area. I showed, sorry, yeah?
Нет, можно делать его довольно быстро. В течение недели, когда вот отек основной проходит.
Sorry. I showed that picture before.
Yeah.
I have it here once more because here I try to demonstrate why we do that. The only program which shows my computer are Microsoft Office. So typically this is a patient with no problem with laxity. It's like a volume reduction, deepest protocol. This is probably this. Oh my god. This is probably the most typical patient if it will come out. Okay, it's for the compatibility I use Office on Mac. And the rest,
Same things.
everything works fine, but the Office not so much. I don't know why. No, sorry. Once more, I'm going to start here. Magic, yes, yeah. So that would be an example of somebody having the mid depth and some skin laxity protocol on top. This is a very old picture. Now we don't work in such a kind of zones. We have more sophisticated way of doing it. Actually, I will show you when we do the body treatment, hopefully. But the philosophy is, you've got the lady abdomen, where the umbilicus here. Probably the fat is the deepest there. So, you start deep. We call that layering. We do different layers. So you start, let's say, in her case, 20 centigrades, not 10, because she's probably not having that much. And you treat this area 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever you like. Assuming 2 minutes to increase the temperature and minimum 5 to keep it, better 10. So 12 minutes is the ideal time for that. Then probably start to complain about the heat. In that moment, you decrease the power a little bit. You saw on that page that we reach high temperature, and then we were going a little lower. The same with people. When the skin is fresh, I'm aggressive with the power, I increase the temperature. Later they complain that it's getting hot. I decrease a little bit and continue. After 12 minutes, I should decide what to do next. If I want to treat skin laxity, I treat more superficially. And now, if you try to imagine in the 3D, this big area, this deep, it can be, I don't know, more than half a liter of fat, a lot. Then I treat superficially, it's very little, few cc's. So, with the same power, the temperature will go very high, and I have to reduce the power because otherwise it's painful, right? Or, I keep very high power, superficial treatment, and I treat larger area with that power, saving the time. That's what we do now. Because this way they tolerate high power, and for skin laxity, you need to treat as big areas as possible. But you cannot treat here for deep because you will be hitting the muscle will be pulling against you, and you will not reach the temperature. If you go too deep, if you go to muscle, you will see that the temperature is not going high. Even if you have good contact, good technique, good everything, if you go too deep, if you do mistake and go too deep, the temperature is not showing high. That's the logical, empirical way how to judge the good treatment.
Смотри, получается так, ты сначала обрабатываешь всю зону, работаешь с охлаждением, фокусируешь энергию достаточно глубоко. Потом ты переходишь, уменьшаешь охлаждение, за счет этого у тебя энергия фокусируется более поверхностно, и ты берешь более широкую зону для того, чтобы это было более, не снижая энергию. Поэтому у тебя будет больше зона обрабатываться, но при этом это будет также толерантно. Но если ты хочешь работать в этой же зоне, то обязательно придется снизить энергию, потому что, но снизив энергию, ты потеряешь, соответственно, и эффективность.
This is the same patient, just the other side. And now, if the PowerPoint allows me to, I want to show you the skin pattern sample patient. This is from Jamie Downey. You see, lady having my 2 children, not having too much of the fat, but having a skin laxity issue. If you treat somebody, oh my God,
Once again.
if you treat somebody like that with too much cooling, you will not reach the temperatures. It will be painful and not effective. So these are just samples.
То есть, когда нет цели сжигать жир, когда нет же цели работы с жировыми отложениями, а цель именно подтяжка кожи, тогда без охлаждения, с минимальным охлаждением, да, и основной фокус на коже, чтобы на коже был, чтобы прогреть кожу.
Минимально. Минимально.
Можно наоборот.
Минимальная энергия, большая зона, да, то есть энергия остается такой же, только минимальное охлаждение.
Okay, I think almost finished with the PowerPoint because it's not really following my wish. Okay, try to restart that. It's really not. I want to show you the fan. With the PowerPoint of Excelis, I don't have much more to show. There was like, you can get a copy of this, of course. There's some before and afters, but I don't think we should lose time with this. The only one I wanted to show you was the facial, if I have it here. This lady actually was treated by the large handpiece for the summer, and she got very good result in terms of definition. And one more to show. This is like 2-hour treatment with, I told you about the epinephrine and the Docaine inhalation. That's Mark Kamsky is the guy in Kentucky, and he's doing this as an alternative protocol. He's very fair with the patient. He offers them cheaper, problem-free treatments, or this kind of dramatic thing with the steroid injections in the pocket. More expensive, but still not invasive like liposuction, and some of these patients they appreciate it. So.
Even steroids injection?
Well, if there is a paniculatus, if there is an inflammation, he stops that. You know, our Americans they don't use creams or whatever; they inject immediately. So, but again, this is not beta protocol. I just show you. Okay.
If they previously used the lipolytics or like a desoxycholine. No, desoxycholine.
Okay.
So the time between the session, if they previously used their lipolytics, when you can use their.
Well, I give you again. Sorry for not giving you specific time, but when the inflammation is stopped. So it depends on how you dose. If it's a little dosage on many spots, that can be very fast, it can be 2-3 weeks. But if there is a severe inflammation, you should wait.
And one more question, if they have fibrosis. So we know after the lipolytics, they usually have fibrosis there. So the question, do you change the protocol?
Yes and no. No for Excelis, but I would pre-treat by the X-ray, by the shockwave, because the shockwave helps to soften, to get better blood flow. It's like the same thing I was talking about the ultrasound, but much more dramatic.
Okay.
So then we do combination.
Okay, one more question. What about the combination between different devices? So if you want to combine this with some kind of iPhone or something like this.
On the same session? Or
on the same session or a different session?
Well, whenever you use the negative pressure, the suction, you should be very careful the same day because you can cause hematomas due to the vasodilating response. You will have to use really low power because otherwise you can cause the hematomas. What we have a very good experience with is the positive pressure, the lymphatic drainage. If you got the cuffs with the lymphatic drainage, they speed the metabolic turnover and they really help with the results on any body treatments. They're very beneficial. The facial not so much, but you can do photorejuvenation by maybe non-invasive LEDs. That would be very good for speeding the metabolism. You can use the mask afterwards. I know some clinics, they actually put some active ingredients before, and then they don't clean them. They put the gel over, and they want to speed the absorption of that by the treatment. I don't have personal experience with this. In general, we position, because we do this volumetric heating on the face, the facial treatment we position in the sequence of treatment following way. First, Botox, because you relax the muscles and you see what is the effect of the neurotoxin on the muscles. Second, Excelis for the lifting. The third, of course not the same day, it's just the whole sequence. Third, if you want to do microdermabrasion, fractional laser, resurfacing, acne scar treatment, pore treatment, this kind of like epidermal to dermal treatments. And then at the end, when you see the result, filler, because you can use less filler than before. But we position ourselves after Botox because it's the deeper structure treatment. If you want to combine, let's say, Altera or Thermage, that would be probably immediately after Axis. Not before, because you got longer period where you can do other treatment after Altera or Thermage. So if they want to do super jumbo type of combination, that would be our general recommendation. There are people who do differently. There are people who do Botox or fillers right after Axis. I'm not a big fan because you can cause some hematomas by injecting, but I was in the plastic surgery office and he was doing all the time fillers right after Axis, and he just told me, so what? He didn't care, his patients don't care, it's okay. So this is more...
I think they have injected filler in the face and we are doing the cells after.
We recommend to wait 2 weeks after filler or botulinum toxin or any kind of neuro modulator injection, because we want to be sure that everything is settled down.
But you can also increase the bioresorption of the filler if you're...
That's what people assume. The true answer is, I do not know. We collected the study from 2005, which is not our study, but it was done for Thermage. And the conclusion was that there is no correlation between the absorption of the filler and the monoclonal radiofrequency, but it was Thermage back then. It's more dramatic than what we do in terms of temperature. So I assume there's probably not a very strong influence, but I cannot tell for sure because there's no published study. I know people say there is definitely cutting shorter the absorption period, but there's not a real hard evidence for that. So I'm not saying...
What about the more edema or something like this? Because the filler is anyway is already basic.
No, we didn't have any. I have to report any adverse event. I have to review it from a medical perspective, like a clinical director. I have to write it when they report, and we didn't get single one complaint. We got some persistent edema, maybe 2-3 cases, but they were usually related to the insufficiency of the lymphatic retention, that the lymph nodes were themselves problematically working. But I also got the opposite comment, that the lady was having the persistent edema, and after heating the lymph, actually she got rid of it because the lymph gets more liquid when you heat it. So, but this is very little specimen, so I cannot say for sure. Some doctors told me that if they put the filler, the patient doesn't like it because it's too much and they don't like the natural look. The very same day, they heat it with the Exilis, they massage it, and they lower the appearance of the filler, and they really do influence the absorption. Again, I just have been empirically told that, like anecdotal type of experience.
Okay. Значит, даже если не инициированы филлеры, исследований, которые показывали, что филлер действительно рассасывается после воздействия, нет. Да? То есть все об этом говорят, но исследований таких не было, никто об этом сильно не говорил, да, что это сделали мне РФ, а у меня рассосался филлер. Да? То есть такого не было. Но если это сделано, допустим, как нежелательное явление филлер, да, то есть он и сейчас это делать такую процедуру, то, скорее всего, это ускорит резорбцию. Да? То есть поэтому желательно хотя бы 2 недели между введением филлера, нейротоксина или чего угодно, да, то есть перед тем, как
Number 360. The difference is in the software and the handpiece. The software is optimizing the EFC, the energy flow control, for different impedances of those handpieces or tips. The handpiece itself has different design, but the major difference in the design is that you can apply the single user technology tips. Actually, we got also new facial tips. The previous one was shorter, this one is longer. That's what I try to show by this picture. That actually so it's more forgiving when you do mistakes with angles. Even not as good operator can do a good job. Plus, this blue part is longer. So especially when you treat eyes or problematic zones, you see better what you do, because when it was shorter, it was difficult. Good operator can do almost the same job, but it's so forgiving that even I, who works like with this for 15 years, I like it more. When I worked with it first time, I said, no, it's longer, I'm not sure if I like it, and you know, I worked with it for a month, testing it, and I went for some tour and do the training on the previous one. I said, oh my god, I don't want to work with this anymore. So it's more in ergonomy for the facial tip, but it's actually a big difference for the operator. Now with the, this is the picture of my colleague from Spain. I was just doing his eye for 3 minutes to show him the technique, but I took the picture and advantage that I could show his eyes with no blinding. I was not able to do this kind of thing with the small handpiece before. With the new design, especially for eyes, you are much more accurate, so you can go very close to the eye. The only thing you should remember with eyes, you never aim against the eyeball. You stay on the bone and aim outwards because of ultrasound. If you do it this way, you start to get red eye, crying, edema, and then we stop. We don't want to book anybody's eyes. But if you do it with the proper angle, you never have issues.
То есть от глазного яблока.
Yes. We have also lower setup of the power for the eyes.
Да, то есть специальные показатели. Когда посмотрим, что у нас модели на глазах.
У вас есть протокол. The clinical diet, yes. So these are the handpieces. Reusable for face. You can use many times. And these are single use. Typically we use these two for the vaginal rejuvenation and for the vulvar treatment outside genitalia. Show you. I was talking about volumetric heating. The same thing here. You want to do them all because they are the same philosophy. I'm sorry to bother you, but I have to give you the electrode on your back because this is monocolor. So can you just sit up? Yeah. It's okay. Keep it on. I'll just put it here. It can be a little cold. Sorry for that.
It's okay.
I warned you. Here we go. So what I do, I push on the electrode, make sure that it's sticked well, and then it's warmed. If I see it's not on the place, I warm it, like I pat it a little bit. Okay. When I warm the glue, it's safely there. Thank you very much. Now, if this is on a congress, I would push him to remove the necklace. I know that 90% probability it will not heat up. If you feel any heat over your jewelry, you let me know, but okay. It's probably not happening. But there are exceptions to the rule, okay?
You just need to rotate this.
I see.
You need to lift it up. Yeah?
I feel it. I'm small.
I feel good.
Yeah, you will feel good. Do you have the spatula?
It's painful?
Шпатель.
Excuse me. It's painful?
Very. My patients fall asleep usually. So
really?
yeah, with the first session it can be. Yes. In the first session you don't know what to expect. So of course. I educate every patient with the first session what they are about to experience. I tell people if you want to do good treatment, you have to master 3 segments. Good technique, good treatment plan, protocol, how to position patient and so on, and communication with the patient, which means I have to describe him, her, what he or she will experience, and then I need a feedback. The main part of my description is that it will be bulk heating, slow, like gentle heating, but in 1-2 minute period, it will get pretty intensive. Imagine you fall asleep in the summer on the sun. Very strong heating, but actually quite pleasant. So that's what you're going to feel. If you tell me it's too hot, I'll stop the treatment. I reorganize the gel, change the parameters, and then I continue. This is very important information for the patient, because if you don't tell them, and they tell you it's hot, you organize, continue, say, hey, it was too hot, don't hurt me. But if you educate them that you actually make it nicer and continue,
they are not surprised. So they understand what you're doing. They have to be part of the game. So you must describe what you're going to do. Plus, you tell them that you ask them the number of heating. 0, no heat. 10, stop, it's too hot. And you want to ask them if they feel 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. All the time. And if there are any hot spots. How much time do we have for this now?
It's up to you.
Okay. Because normally what I'm going to do, I will treat one side, and then I leave you to practice on the other side. You're right-handed? Yeah?
Yeah.
So I will do the left side, because this is more difficult when you're right-handed.
Okay.
Also, I don't like to use my left hand. Some therapists can. My colleague in Czech, he was pushing me very much to do that, but I resist, because I'm stronger right-handed, I can do better job with the right hand. I use my right hand on the left side, on his left side. But it's easy to start on the right side if you're right-handed. That's why I do the more difficult one. Move your head a little bit. Thank you. Perfect. I have a system already. Nice. Now it comes to the moment of truth. How much gel to use? A lot. So then I spoil
How many degrees you want to make?
Typically, we work between 40 to 43.
Mm.
For a few seconds, it can be even up to 45. But the facial tissue is cooling very fast, because what I do, I actually increase the blood supply in the area, so the vasodilating would really secure that the body would cool off. So my goal is I try not to stop too many times or for too long, let's say, because then your body would cool off. It feels...
But 43, it's too much, I think, for my lower eyelids.
You will see, you will see.
Because it's painful, no?
Nah. Don't worry, it should not ever be painful. It's intensive though. It's
For cheek, it's okay. 43 or 45. But it's painful, I think.
We work more intensively on cheeks and less intensively on
То есть
eyes.
видели, да, к спине приклеили электрод. Теперь
But always on the side, always outside of the spine area. We want to be over the good muscle, which is cooling off the skin. So I'll just pull the cable this way. Keep it on the right side so it's not messing over your face. For the operator, you have two screens here. You have two labels over there. So I just changed the screen to show you that I'm changing the window. It's like on Windows. This is the large applicator, so you see this one is active. It shows our logo. And when I change to XP, which stands for extra power, it's the small applicator basically, I hit the button and it's changing the screen. It's like changing the window on your computer. Now you have to wait before they calibrate, or like, it's not calibration actually, it's calibrated in the factory, but they communicate with each other. The handpiece has the board, and it's saying, hello, I need this frequency and this setup. I have a little primitive, but quite good trick to wrap it around. Then here are the connectors. I told you that we are watching not just the contact on the active electrode, but also on the passive electrode. So for that method we have two cables, and the device is testing the quality of connection by sending the testing signal here. Now you go for the therapy screen by pressing the therapy button, surprisingly, and it goes directly in the screen with the therapy. I told you I will use for upper cheeks the max power, which is 90 watts on the small handpiece. Again, this is the average, but to normal users I'm not saying that because it's confusing. So max power is 90, and then I keep the 100% duty factor. For eyes I will lower it. So for every part of the face I use the max power, but I'm changing the duty factor, which is actually telling me the percentage of efficacy because of the pulsing protocol.
То есть всегда практически выбираете 90, то есть максимальную мощность, но при этом снижаете коэффициент заполнения. То есть для нижнего века это 60, для всего остального лица практически 100. Но с учетом того, для того, чтобы...
80-40.
80-40, да, то есть 80-40.
But it's all in the clinical guide, you don't have to remember that. Plus, if I need to decrease the power, I can do it here.
Okay.
So those watts, I can decrease here. But if he tells me it's hot, I reorganize the gel and then continue. If it's still hot, I organize the gel. Gel, 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 gel. Then I go slightly faster, and then I decrease the power. Which means I decreased the power last time probably a year ago.
Okay.
So I try not to give up, that's the message.
То есть
Still one video?
снижение температуры только в мощности только в самом крайнем
If I
случае.
have hot, please organize for me pina colada, please.
Okay. So we have,
То есть у нас
we have a
такой
code word
100%
then.
сейчас, да? Хотя надо, по идее, снизить.
Нет. Не
А
надо.
что мы до 80 и 60 снизим?
Нет, это просто будете проходить где-то быстрее, где-то медленнее. Вот смотри, как
You
работает.
use
То есть это
80%
будет-
here, you use 60% on the eyelids, and you use for the mouth area, you use 40% if you treat lips, because these are thin skin, like more gentle areas. This is the initial energy, but usually you can use that through the whole treatment. Actually, on eyes, sometimes I'm increasing to 80% beauty factor, depending on the patient. So, last thing I should change is the time. You can press the button here, select it and change it, but this is actually too difficult, so the easier way is just rotating the button and it's changing by half a minute. So I give him, usually we give here 6 minutes of the treatment. For the first area, I add 1 more minute, because if I heat this part, the blood flow increases on all phases, so the next area is heating faster. We will see how he likes that, so we keep 7 minutes as a standard. I hit start button here. This last thing I was hitting start. Now my screen shows me the quality of the contact of the electrode. If I start the treatment, it will be showing me also contact here, which means the contact of the tip. I don't watch it, I just want to have a good contact. If I have any troubles, then maybe I have a look on that. All this information is recorded inside the device. So for if you got any kind of service issues, or if you're not sure about anything, write down the time. If I stop the treatment, I go to the main screen, by escape again. There's no time anymore on the software? Okay, then write the time on the clock. I was about to, usually here there was a time, but now this is not there. Write the time where you want to analyze the issue, because the device keeps the records for like 2 years. But when they analyze it, there are a million lines of code. If you tell them the date and the time, it's easier for them to find it. Okay, so to repeat, you go therapy, you select the power, the
Energy and the time.
and possibly the beauty factor, the time, and at the end you hit the start. Now I'm ready. I will start the treatment itself by pressing this button. If I don't have a good contact on the electrode, I cannot start. So here is the arm, and this is blocking the treatment. You see, I cannot start. Now I can start it. If I have a bad contact, it gives me another signal, which is like a high-pitched tone, and this will flash blue like this. This means zero contact, zero energy. If I do have a contact, it's a low tone.
Мы один раз нажимаем, да, кнопку, и всё.
I touch him first.
Вы ее держите?
Ну вот да, а он ее сжимает?
Нет,
или-
просто нажимаете. You can
Мгм.
lift it, which is the biggest mistake, because then with majority of radio frequencies you got hot hit. With the small handpiece and the gel, even that mistake doesn't feel painful for the patient. With majority of RFs, if you do this, he would scream of like being too hot. But you see, this is very well protecting him.
Как там будет?
Твои ощущения.
Очень легкое, мягкое тепло идет.
А мы про филлеры сказали, а если нити в лице установлены?
Очень хорошо. Я тебе говорю, это заранее.
Ну, чтобы если были только
Это
были-
мировой опыт,
если это не
только-
золотые.
Это должно пройти месяц.
Exactly right. No metal in the threads. So I go slower here, faster over there. Slower here, faster over there. With him, it's a little bit more tricky because of the beard. I don't want to get less gel over any kind of hair, because it can focus the heat on the hair. That's why I'm more carefully managing the gel on his his cheeks. Then, if the gel comes too close to the eye, I just clean it.
Становится горячее, да.
0 to 10, how much heat you were feeling now?
I feel okay, but already hot.
Give me a number.
Number
10 is pain.
Yeah, I understand. 6.
6, well, you should go 8, 9. I'm not happy if the patient doesn't tell me stop. If he tells me stop, I stop for a couple of seconds, organize the gel, and continue. And also, I have to keep cleaning the gel from. The eyelids are a little bit tricky because you have to clean the gel more often. So, any other treatment zone is easier to treat because you don't have to focus that much about the gel.
I feel more hot near the lateral part of my orbita.
Here?
Yeah. Very hot there.
You put
I
your
think 8 on this part, on my nasolabial.
You go faster here and slow.
Yeah, 6 kilos.
Then we should even the temperature. Faster here, slower here.
It's very comfortable.
Now it's getting too dry. I have to add the gel here. Yeah,
Do you have thermometer?
Inside.
we don't have it in this handpiece because the gel is colder than the skin. You can use the external one, but I don't encourage people to do that a lot. I can show you with the thermal camera later on.
We have.
Because the skin temperature is much higher than the gel temperature. So if we would be using the thermometer, it's a little bit tricky and it's misleading people from doing the job. So that's why we choose not to put it there. Even on the big handpiece we have it. So we do have a technology to use the infrared thermometer, but we choose not to use it on this handpiece. People are focusing very often to numbers more than actually the good technique, so we want them to focus on the treatment.
Противопоказания проговорили?
Да?
Какие?
Это
Протокол
система.
же все будет?
Да, ясно. Energy-based treatment is similar in terms of communications. So are we 8, 9 somewhere, or are we 6, 7?
7.
So I should go slower. Usually when I talk, I'm not heating properly, so.
So I think it's around 40. Может, 50 градусов?
You know, when I'm passing, when I'm actually touching the skin with the applicator, it's definitely warm. But then immediately after, it gets lower. So that's why it's normal, because it's not staying for long. The feeling or the possible damage is the function of the temperature and the time. The time is also important. So, getting more?
I work with Surgitron, PLV. You know this method?
Yeah.
Вы сразу на кнопку нажмите.
Ой, let me show you.
Нужно... Уже поздно, уже давно. Кожа очень быстро страдает.
Да, 43.
А, все, да?
Сразу
Получилось
нажимаю.
все, да?
2 раза больше.
When I work with PLV, if I feel very painful, it's not. It's around 41.
This is different. It's we can deliver, let's say, to larger volume of tissue, making it more tolerable.
Нажмите
На черную нажмите.
It's nice because it's when you have 43 on the skin, you have 53 inside the skin, lower between the fat and the skin.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Say in China we don't have certification for that because they protect their market. So we choose some Chinese one, but I test like 9 gels before I was able to get the similar.
Ну, а Классоник у нас есть на рынке, да?
Есть он? Да, конечно, есть.
Да? Есть у нас он на рынке?
А колсоник, гель, который мы продаем к
Warm it.
у нас есть.
Мы его завозим. Это мы завозим, но нужно было проверить. Мы его просто завозим по регистрации. Вот, с аппаратом.
So see,
Обычно
I keep,
тековские
I'm sure that if you are able to measure
высокой
immediately after I pass, it will be even higher, but I don't want to lose the effect by too much of measuring,
Мы
because
же берем и
you
под
feel that it's
альтеру,
cooling
под
actually
звуки.
when I stop. So I don't want to stop for that long, because
высокой
this
вязкости
would
он дает
decrease the
прослойку
efficacy
и
of what I'm
за счет этого неправильную фокусировку. Там осложнение. Поэтому
Ну, там же, да, важно сколько рассчитать. А здесь важно, просто если брать низкой вязкости, он будет растекаться и будет гелем больше. Не очень удобно и для пациента нелегко.
At the beginning, I a little bit discourage you to do what I'm doing now, to work with the spatula at the same time I do the treatment. So it's better to stop more often for a very short period to organize the gel. So you stop, organize, work. Keep working, keep working, keep working, stop, organize the gel, like this, put it there, and continue. What I do it simultaneously, but this is a little bit more challenging for synchronizing of the work of your hands. So at the very beginning, don't make your life too difficult. If you're able to do it, it's perfect, but you need some practice. Again, I was talking about the car driving experience. You need practicing to get a very good skills on this. So I encourage you to practice 2-3 sessions before you start to do simultaneous work. Okay? Good?
Сколько можно сделать процедур?
On this protocol we do 4. If we do the longer session, we can do down to 2 sessions.
Какой промежуток? 10 дней?
We do it typically once a week. This is more practical for the scheduling.
After blepharoplasty?
Again, when there's no risk of bleeding or there's no active inflammation, you can start doing this, but not sooner. So it depends.
7 days, I think.
It depends very much on the healing of the patient. That's why I'm not happy to say exact number. So what we do now, we change the duty factor to 60%. And the time we go down to 4 minutes for eyes. And now we do just eyelids. I will run through that area, but I will not heat it because I'll be treating the eyes and then I just return to there. So don't worry, I will not heat the tissue which you were injected last week.
Энергия будет даже 90, вот плотность ее была 100%, стала 60. И время стало 4 минуты. Только глаза.
The idea is that I use lower power in order to be able to go slow on eyelids. Now I was going fast, but to focus on eyelids I have to go slow. And if I use the full power, it will be too hot for him. So that's why I decrease, and then I'll be able to go slower. Now this is not really designed for that, but my habit is I keep the gel handy here.
Переорбитальная область. Ну да. Вы не будете только по одному веку ходить, вы будете все равно захватывать здесь всю переорбиту.
So the main difference or the main feature of my moves you will see is changing the angle like this, like that. So
then I return over and start here. Good?
Mm-hmm. I feel more hot near the suborbital nerve, but it's still 6 or 7.
Okay. I know I needed to clean the gel. So with this technique, or like protocol that it would say, you basically treat the lower eyelid 2 times. And normally, if you want to focus on the upper eyelid, you treat the forehead to elevate the eyebrow. So that's the philosophy of distribution of the heat over the zones. That the problematic, or to be focused at areas, you basically already treat to it 2 times. I can do it this way as well. I stop it here, and I start over there. I don't like that, but some people do it this way, because this is the effective treatment. You stop it here. A little more work to clean the gel, that's it. So this is what I'm treating. Stop here, start over. But to me, it's faster just to return and start over here.
Hot. I feel hot here.
Okay. It's because I accumulated the gel on the central part of your upper eyelid, and it got dry on outside. Water. The beauty of spatula is that it has a sharp edges. So when I want to get the gel, I'm using the sharp edge to gain it, and then I leave it on the other part. So don't ever use it like a butter knife to spread the gel. You use it to harvest the gel.
Very strange feels.
Huh?
Like I feel hot inside the orbita.
Usually you get a little bit of the redness on the eye, especially because I'm playing with the gel here. The gel is provoking more than anything else. But I think this is the RF treatment which goes like to the closest to the eye tissue, so to speak. So we stay over the bone, but very close to the eye, so we can heat very effectively the eyelids. The device is automatically pausing every half a minute, every 30 seconds. Or I can of course pause it by pressing the button. That's why the button is just under my finger. And you see, I'm trying to prevent the gel coming to the eye, because if I put too much of the gel too close, then it's taking my time to clean it. And I want to keep doing the treatment rather than cleaning it too long time. See, I'm not looking at the screen because I know what parameters I've chosen, but you can see the contact is shown there, and you can see there the time and the power as well. The only thing you have to change on the screen is the beauty factor. This you cannot change on the main screen. I mean, you cannot change on the applicator. But usually you don't do it during the treatment anyways.
you see that actually when I treat eyes, I do more pauses because of the gel, but I want those to be relatively short, up to like 10 seconds. It's not obvious from what you see, but I don't have to hold the button. I click it to start and click it to stop. Another little trick, I press with my thigh the cable to fix it, so it's not pulling my hand. So I am like holding the pen, but this is not because I fix it here. It's not pulling my hand, so I make it easy for the angle. See, I was not watching the screen. There was just 5 seconds. It's nonsense to stop it. Okay, that's it. So what I'm gonna do now is just I'm gonna clean the gel, keep it happy, and we may want to have a look if there's a kind of the response or the endpoint, let's say. The first thing always, I disconnect this, because if he moves up, he will pull the applicator off the cradle, and then you just win the price of paying 15,000 for a new one. So it's probably better to protect it by unclean it. I always use 2 hands. 1, 2. Then the cable is clean. You can move it around. Believe me, it's very difficult to clean this cable especially. And so these are good habits to make your life easy, let's say. Okay, clean the gel. See the erythema is there, but it will go away. The edema though can last till maybe tomorrow morning, depending on the person, of course, but it lasts a bit longer. Anyway, people come for that like a lunchtime procedure, because when the erythema is gone, which is very fast, lady puts on the makeup and she goes back to the office. Nobody can tell she was on some treatment. So
I think for me it's 2 hours.
for the redness, you usually keep redness longer.
Oh.
I mean, longer than other people.
For me it's just 2 hours. I don't know.
Because usually it's a couple minutes. Keep your eye closed, please.
On my lower eyelids, I think. After therapy, I have redness, I think, 5 hours.
Yeah, but out therapy, it's necrotizing some tissue because it's using up to 60-65 centigrades, I believe. So here it should be more gentle in terms of the response. But maybe, well, if you're sensitive. And usually it's faster. Majority of people within half an hour, it's totally gone. Okay, then I clean the majority of the gel. The rest probably you want to clean yourself. But if you, if you want Mike to sit up, so we can have a look on the, if you got some kind of tissue reaction. So I got a little bit of the red eye because I was probably losing some gel in his eye. But you can see a little bit of the fullness of edema. This is a good endpoint. If you do the light grain, if you move your muscles, would you feel any kind of tension here?
No.
You probably feel it more after the edema is gone, but
yeah, but I feel good.
Sometimes people feel it a couple of days after, which is actually wanted. Oh, sorry, you're crying. Don't be sad. We'll do the other side. This is the moment to ask for money, before you do the other side. But you want the endpoint to see a good edema, and usually I'm happy if they feel the tension. If somebody's pulling their cheeks, it means
I feel tension here.
Yeah,
on this
okay.
part. Yeah.
Well, you can see that this eyebrow is a little bit responding with the edema as well, showing a little different angle, and also the upper eyelid is swollen. You can see that. But this should go away fast. However, I'm happy if he feels tomorrow a little bit of the tension, and maybe a couple of days after, it depends how sensitive they are. But this, I think, is okay treatment. It's a little bit annoying with the beard because when I was going here, I try to avoid the bone. I don't want to tighten the skin of the bone. We cannot.
Malar area.
You can make tension on the whole part of my body.
We didn't experiment that far.
But they have a lot of big experts.
Yeah. I was about to say
Okay, go on the next.
If you're treating the eyebrows or the area with the beard, you should really use a lot of gel because the hair can make like a kind of bridge. In this moment, we have good contact, but one part of the area can get focused heat through the hair follicle. And then it's not like a burning, but it's unpleasant. It feels like a hot pin touching you. So that's why I was careful with having gel over his beard, and it was not a problem. That's the only recommendation to give.
So, кто? Разделите, кто-то начнет, кто-то сделает следующий.
Ну, так, нет, ну можно и то сделать. We need 100 here.
No, you cannot do 100. The maximum is 90. This is watts, and this is percent. Percent, you do 100. Yes. You rotate. It goes by 20. It can go only. Go up. It can go only 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So that's it. Enter. And that's it. Time, you go to 6 minutes. From here you can see the
большая черная мероприятие, то есть по всей России.
Что такое мероприятие? Как будто вы все поняли, мы будем смотреть.
Нас ничего не поняли.
Пока она не включила. Так. Переодеваем шанс. Да. Да, Нет, подарки право.
It's obvious that his face is still warmer there.
Не прилепит, зачем положу?
So, even now you see that this part of the face is warmer still. You see the red, where is the yellow here. The temperatures are not accurate here because it's not set properly.
Обычно где-то от 9 до 14 человек бывает на школе России. Если не было, как всегда,
Подожди, да, подожди, еще не включаем.
Так, вы что собираетесь сделать?
Ну еще второй глаз.
Второй глаз, все.
Подожди, не включаем. Сами дай мы сначала очень включенную попробуем.
Já to chápu, ale možná bychom možná dělal, nebo ať to taky zkusí, že to může být.
Хотите еще кофе?
Ale
Кофе, чай?
Более медленно,
какую сторону? Я уже забыла.
Шоги.
Пошла, вы меня.
Какая разница?
Для
Да.
эффектов это не
важно,
ценно.
да?
Но как я работаю с многогером, это практично работать на этой гире direction, потому что как я бы работал
Это
каком,
против.
я бы пускал гел в глаза. Но я работаю с более гелом. Я не знаю, как это гел будет.
Давайте
I don't know how it will be behaving
мы своим
because
делаем.
I want to
На
keep
другого нет.
a good layer of the
А
gel.
почему его
This one is a little bit more liquid.
Вот у нас
It's right here.
Используйте дальше другие гели.
It's more liquid.
No, this is more thick actually.
Наш ликвид
okay.
более текучий.
You see, it is already thick, and it does not melt when you heat it. It stays very thick. So, in terms of amount, I put more than I need, and at the end of the treatment, it's usually just enough. If you may a little bit turn this way, it will be easier for that. So, I give you much more than you need, but typically after those 6 minutes, it will be just enough.
Жень, спроси, сила давления.
So how you are pushing on the skin?
Just for contact, just for the contact. You don't have to push, but you don't want to jump because this is not pleasant if you're knocking on
Yeah.
Сейчас я попробую. Сразу не так было. Смертельно страшно.
Мне очень страшно.
Да нам больше страшно, чем тебе. Конечно.
Ну, шарами сожгете, конечно, но конец.
Now, keep in mind, I'm doing this treatment for many years. So you can wake me up in the middle of the night, and my hand would be automatically doing this. Remember the first day of your life when you were driving the car? It was horrible. Now you drive, you are on the call, you're talking to your children, you are shouting on the guy in the car, and you do it all automatically. The same story. Subconscious part of the brain has to take over. That's why you have to practice for a couple of hours before you're good at it. And this is the downside. Nothing has only positive side, so this is the downside. It's a tool, and it's demanding good operator. But when you can use it well, the operators like it. The lazy and unskilled people, they hate it. But skilled people with good control, they like it because they can show how good they are. Like a driver likes good car, the same story.
In the end of the day, it's not rocket science.
But people focus always on numbers, protocols, measurements, but they don't focus on technique. And it's technique, plan, and communication with patient. Easy. But this is like stool of 3 legs. If you miss one of those 3, everything goes down. So technique is the first one, definitely. Good, but here, no, here it's not. You see what you were doing? You were doing this, which means here you stop. But you should do this. Okay, round. To go. There's a
Тяжела насадка. Снова. Тяжело насадку держать? Легко? Балансированно?
What would help if you get it stick somewhere here? What I do, I push it like this. Then it's easier to move with it. See? It's just an idea. You don't have to do it, but for balanced weight, it helps a lot. Только это моя преференция. Это не
обязательно.
нужно, но
Понятно.
I like it this way. Try to make bigger circle here. Now, here you still stop. You should do circle, like round. Because if you stop, it gets too hot.
Как
Круг делать больше.
закругляйте круг побольше.
very good, very nice. Yes. You can go a little bit lower here, and then you go like this, like this. Mhm. Because whenever you do pointy edges, if you do it again and again, it gets hot, 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 too hot.
Какая ты начнем сразу? Не жалко
Это довольно.
вообще.
Наоборот, я хочу тебя погреть.
Раздевайся, прижимайся к телу. Сок ты, конечно, не будет, не хот-дог. Учись такие собаки беречь.
Да, на сосиском тесте точно окажется.
Давайте.
Поехали, да? Старт нажимаем.
Да, у нас ручной,
Всё.
мощность 90.
Да все поставлено уже.
Да, подожди, я ж тоже... Ты какая умная, а я теперь не поставлю, понимаешь? Ну ладно.
Интеграция.
Вы поставите когда-нибудь делать?
Правильно говорить дякую.
Дякую.
Ukraine.
Чешется.
Where are you from?
Дякую, check.
Женечка, спроси еще раз. Мы сначала ставим, потом включаем.
Конечно.
Потому что иначе не будет контакта.
Да.
Все, начинай вспоминать.
В Чехии тоже так же спасибо, да?
Не дякую.
Да?
Да.
It's Slovakian actually.
Словакия.
Czech is děkuji.
Děkuji.
Same like in Ukraine.
Není zač. Well, the part of Ukraine was part of Czechoslovakia, isn't that?
Я отпустила.
Надо выключать.
А, надо тоже.
Also, you're losing time. If you're emitting the energy with no contact, you are not giving him the proper treatment.
И это плохо.
Чуть-чуть быстрее здесь.
Медленнее на скуле.
На загубке.
What I do at the very first treatment,
Это работа.
I'm helping her with the gel,
Это
so
работа.
she
Главное
can get
понять.
experience of good treatment. Later, she can do it herself, but the first treatment is a little bit tricky, so. There was 30 seconds, so it stopped for her.
Да, мы в России говорят так. Одно дело оперировать людей, другое оперировать на людях. Когда рядом с тобой стоят 10 человек, работа становится крайне сложной.
Конечно, так легко, когда ассистируют.
Because I do the hard work. You know, I'm joking of it, but it's true actually. It's very easy to use this 65,000 euro device, but it's like 5 cent spatula is a little challenging sometimes.
Если не будет меня выжить.
Сейчас пока не буду нажимать. Ой, да,
Смотрим, ну, можно чуть-чуть например. Я перенес модель на гинекологию на 3 часа. 3:34.
Быстро.
Я далеко ухожу на глаза.
Да, и надо изменить угол.
Я как работаю идеально даже.
С этим углом и здесь с этим.
Здесь уже.
Меня в Бразилии
Да.
обучение проводил.
Nice.
Мой друг, который в Бразилии работает.
Здесь
И чуть-чуть быстрее через
Вот здесь
глаза
быстрее.
и медленно здесь. Очень медленно. Вот.
Ну да, особенно просто надо сюда.
Ну, у меня наоборот получилось здесь быстро, а потом медленно.
Быстренько.
Умная девчонка.
Thomas, do you know the Luis Perez?
Я
Not
сама
personal,
решила.
personal.
Где?
I know. Well, actually, I met him.
The young guy from
Yeah. Well, last time. There was a fun launch. He was talking there. Yeah. We met.
He was
The-
a big friend of mine
Yeah,
from São Paulo.
it's a very nice guy. Yeah. He was talking at our launch, and I was at his.
In São Paulo.
Yeah.
It's a small clinic.
What did we do?
Msala, because he's there in the protocol for Msala.
Yeah, but we were doing the fan launch, and he was getting some patients for the
Yeah, also that will do in Excel.
for the practice and show to doctors. Это только зона. Здесь это ниже лицо. Вы работаете на высшем лице.
На высшем лице.
Процедура?
О, сложно, не скажу. Сколько процедур стоит. У них цены 2 раза, 3 раза больше, чем у нас. Ну, у нас просто нормально.
Это была автоматическая пауза сразу.
А можно сразу нажимать? Can we press the button?
Я? Все.
Спроси, как было на 25.
Это там.
Было динамик с 2 точками. 25 тысяч. Ну, мне кажется, он должен быть, по крайней мере, 17-18 тысяч. С лазером, 12 лазером.
Ну, если еще не синхронизировалось.
40. Да, 21
Я сам себе
Да, сейчас индивидуально. Да.
So it was fun. We got a nice workshop there. Good view. It's from the clinic. It's the first time I worked with him, and it was very nice.
Yeah, he's a lovely person.
But then the night of the same day, we were having the launch for the doctors.
Yeah, that's good.
And he was talking there.
Но он сейчас все равно горит. Ты перешла?
Ну, потому что остановилась.
It's okay.
Не, ну сейчас она остановилась.
Рефлекс хороший.
Пауза, а я сразу же включила.
Но не пошла.
Но не пошла.
Be more careful with the eyes. It's annoying. The gel goes clear.
Да.
Oh, good more. Good more. It was not
Знаешь, как в играх в этих, когда проходишь
game over.
Да.
Yeah, well, that's
Game
okay.
over.
But the patient has only one life.
Так, что у нас?
Okay.
А what time?
We were giving 6 minutes, but we stopped a lot, so I will give her like 4 more minutes. No. Oh, 4 is enough. Yeah. Before we were giving 6, now it's altogether 10. It should be enough. Start.
Подождите, это что?
And now you're ready.
Еще разочек, потому что мы
How
его не
many
назвали.
is maximum?
Oh,
1 hour.
I would say for one zone,
For this part.
I would do like 10 minutes and then something else and then 10 minutes again. I wouldn't do more than that. But this would be dramatic. Good. Now you hit me again, but this is the zone. There we go.
Вот остановилась. Не останавливайся, пожалуйста.
Никогда не останавливайтесь. It's like hot, hot, hot. It's getting really strong if you stop.
Идет мыслительный процесс.
Because if you have good contact, the device is giving full power.
Можешь сжечь этот
This
глаз.
full power is 120 watts, continuous. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Even though the screen shows 90, the maximum technically is 120. So for eyes, that's a
Так,
lot.
подожди. Это же на моей стороне.
Что?
Это же на моей стороне.
Сейчас обожду. Ты тоже можешь жить. Парни фотосессия.
Кто обожжет еще раз, идет на вагинальную процедуру.
Но он не хочет, потому что у него...
Вот туда должна быть мотивация у всех.
Покажите, мы не будем включать.
Меня вообще
Просто
называют
движение.
норовитей, поэтому...
Круговым.
Ruby, ellipse, и return.
Да, возвращайтесь, то есть делаете маленький круг, потом возвращайтесь, делаете большой круг, снова маленький круг.
Ну, it's like большой, средний, меньший, эллипс и возвращаюсь.
Да.
Сначала работаю с центральным на латеральном, в электронном спектре.
Они есть электронные, но провели распечатку.
Привозили.
Да. Кажется, как в 16 кабинете, да?
Да, тут на руке, где инсталлировали аппарат, наверху надо взять эти протоколы и всем посмотреть протоколы. А
Протоколы
видео, тот, который вот были видео же,
А видео тоже
пришлите.
да, супер.
Наверное, на Google Drive куда-нибудь выложить, чтобы можно было слить.
ссылочку.
Всё. Вот. Мы тогда после Нового года наберем людей, сделаем 3D до, 3D после первой пациентки, 3D после второй. Нет, полицию именно. Сначала полицию. По телу посмотрим, что можно будет сделать. Там, скорее всего, объемы надо мерить. Вот, смотри, как объемы уходят. Ну и качество по фотографии, качество кожи посмотреть.
А вы вызываете полис?
Да.
Какого хрена мы делаем на лицо?
Я тебе предлагал. Но надо будет посмотреть.
Маленький аппликатор не вызывает.
Да, ради этого я сейчас прям воску сделал.
You have Wi-Fi here? I can...
Yes, this is Юсковская.
I give you the password.
I know the password.
First one?
No, second one. Okay. 8, 9, 4, 5.
Тут глазами киношонка тоже. Да я не под глазами же делаю, умоляю. Она с Уфы делает, очень классно.
Correct? No?
Let me, just numbers?
Помню, когда даже.
Это keyboard.
Okay. 5, 2, 8, 7, 9, 9, 9. Yes.
Что показывает?
We may have those videos here, but I'm not sure. Да, чуть-чуть тоже плакать.
Показывает, чем известно.
Почему? Ты думаешь, что более горячая?
Я думаю, что я более горячий.
Бывает.
Бывает ошибиться.
Может быть, хотя это уже
Ну, на руке ладно, можно.
Ну, реально, то есть все равно там-то температура другая.
Еще не захватил нашу сторону.
Классная штука для телефона.
Я уже заказал.
Да.
Сколько она?
Она есть, у меня сайт medgadgets.ru, можно зайти туда. 36 тысяч, по-моему, у них стоит, что ли, что-то из этого. Да, там термокамера.
Сколько стоит термокамера, которую ты покупаешь на телефон?
I think €200 maybe.
Yeah.
This was not expensive, but it broke after 1 year of usage. Then I leave it on my desk for half a year. Then I took it now and it works again. I don't know why. I bought it on Amazon.
200 евро на Амазоне через год сломалось.
There are two versions.
Заработала снова.
One for iOS, one for Android. So it's called Flare 1.
Здесь школа не была бы.
Yeah, Flare 1.
Чуть-чуть.
Now I have new model.
Всегда
This is
запомни, что
comprehensive.
когда ты ближе на негде подходишь, ты наклон к кости, не к глазу, а к кости, от сюда.
Наклон вот так.
Нет,
да?
вот так,
Вот так.
да,
Вот так.
от глаза.
Вот так.
Да.
А, то есть себе вот на голову такие, потом
30 сантиметров. Пишется.
Быстрее.
To send you the filler study. This influence of fillers. There are two parts. So maybe send to both of them.
А сколько здесь?
Ну здесь понятно.
2005.
Давайте
That's not our study. That's study for international.
We already have it.
Сейчас, давайте заделаем уже.
Oh, okay.
Осталось
Some
полторы
new,
минуты.
some-
No. That's the deal. But they don't have the videos here. I was thinking I can share the videos, but I don't have them on my G drive anymore. But you can share them from the extranet. Only there's not the menu. The flash drive menu is not on extranet anymore because the Adobe does not support the flash anymore. They consider that like not safe way.
Спроси, максимально ближе к глазу или
На костке. Вы остаетесь на
На
костке.
костном крае орбиты.
Ну, я по костному
Вы не работаете на глаза, на орбит.
Я чувствую, что я на костном крае, просто мне так было неудобно это контролировать. Вот так окей.
да. Потому что вот так ты как раз нет.
Ну, 40-41 даже, слушай. Держится.
Ну, за сколько?
Это про меня, да, сейчас? Да. Держится.
Сначала 6, потом 4.
Держится.
Ну, осталось 40 секунд.
Ты на другие змеи, на другие температуры больше. Стоп.
Все, одна секунда.
Одна секунда.
Мой пришел?
Нет.
Вы мой?
Вот.
А,
Все?
You can stop. There's 1 second anyway. This is nonsense to and escape. Выход. And they'll play the winning melody. Game over.
Так,
Нет, подожди, я просто отвечать не будем. Он не хочет, да? Но все-таки не
Верхнюю бровь, что значит не хочет? Ты мне бровь тысячи.
А как мы так, кстати, вот здесь?
Так-то, если что.
как? Точно так же. Точно так же. Вот это вот движение.
Только быстрее.
От себя.
The highest temperature
И надо понизить там,
he
кстати.
experienced during the treatment was 46 centigrades.
is the thermocamera emissivity is set, it shows typically 2 centigrades higher than the infrared. And when she passed, right after, it shows 40A, so it was like 46. So you experience over 46 now.
Yeah, I feel very hot.
But
Thank you.
Сейчас на
Снижаем.
No. Put the gel. Keep the gel.
А, коэффициент 60.
Look, this is 2 seconds later. It's 46 now, but 2 seconds later it's only 42.
Не надо пукать мне, пожалуйста.
No, you just use the knob. Press the record.
Я сам это залежу.
And now?
Это вспоминаю, что дети фотка есть.
But clean the gel from the eye. He's having the gel over the eye.
Да
You
вот
can clean it.
посмотрите вот туда.
Every parameter you change the way, like the time you change like this,
Yeah.
and these, you select here and you rotate that.
Yeah.
And that's the easiest way. She needs 6. That's the easiest way to change it. But the watts, she can change on the handpiece as well.
Okay. But we don't need it actually. We're not changing the watts.
So you see, he was having this 46. You always have to deduct 2 centigrade. So this is 46. But 2 seconds later, it's 44. It's cooling very fast. You see, this is right after the applicator pass, and this is after 1 cycle it gets down. So if she keeps going, it's between 46 and 42, up and down, up and down. And this is good. This is tolerable. But she has to use another. It's
Я могу
Геля
немножечко
нормально намазана?
подтягивать? Да нет. Вот так. Хоп, чтобы меньше.
get a little bit sideways, it'll be easier. But that's okay.
Вот так? Как?
На глаза, да. Мы работаем, реально мы работаем только на глазах.
Наверх.
И потом возвращаемся на этот
Сюда.
point. Yes. And we go perfect. Но я думаю, нам надо чуть-чуть больше.
Давайте, покажите нам, пожалуйста, еще раз. Для особо одаренных.
Вот.
Старт.
Yes, please.
Так, время почему-то 2 минуты. Сейчас время поставлю. 3 минуты, да? 4.
What I like to do, I don't want to have the gel here, because I will bring it when I move the applicator, it will come there anyway. And then, moves. Change the angle this way. I can do it this way as well. I can return by stop, start. Stop, start. Это почему я возвращаюсь очень быстро. Это нет,
Не надо греть там.
там нет смысла.
Как будто прогрели, по сути.
Как оттянуть можно слегка?
Ну, можно. That's okay. Now she's more free to move. It's balancing the weight of the applicator better. So it's like a tank.
Хотела гель под это. Ну еще. Эдик, прости, ты будешь у нас в этот просто это.
Мне кажется, я знаю, кто
No, you do good job, good job.
Роллы заказывать, да?
А кто их ест тоже?
Да.
But it's good. You do good. You do good.
Я даже поняла.
Это была автоматическая пауза.
Так,
Nice.
мне надо. Я поняла.
Только одна вещь, как нет гела в волосах, это может быть горячо. Это только одна вещь, которая может быть лучше у вас, но все
Надо.
второе.
Так насадку удобно держать.
Это потому что я выполняю кабель здесь. Как у вас будет кабель тяжелый, это некомфортно. Но это потому что я фиксирую кабель и потом на совсем тяжелый.
Не тянул.
Если будет удобнее всего.
Будешь? Отработать до автомата. Я надеюсь, что пациентов сюда не буду класть.
Пауза.
Хорошо. Очень красиво.
Когда назад возвращаем?
Куда идешь?
Чуть ниже на глаза.
Вот сюда.
На верхнем
Да.
подбородке.
This is
Чистое.
Возвращаться быстрее или еще?
Нет, куда идти? Новые.
Я думаю, что невозможно прощаться быстрее, чем это.
Просто мне ассоциирует, конечно.
Здесь
Что ты пальцами лезешь что-то?
показываю предмет, а где больно нос.
Называй анатомические субъединицы.
Какая обида. Видать, его уже много, так что начинаю. Как материться по-чешски?
Почти так же, как по-русски.
Спроси слова. Чешские.
Простые слова.
Чешских царь.
No? Добрый день.
Добрый день.
That's a good one. All the Czech curses are using a r. Like, r. It's very helpful. Imagine you like hit your finger, you want some good r.
Пришел, да?
Это правда? Добрый день.
Сакра.
Ура!
Сакра.
Сакра.
О, курва.
It's the same with Polish.
The biggest difference with Polish language and Russian language, this is their understanding of beauty. The beauty in the Russian is красота. In Polish is урода.
Really?
Yes, and the clinica урода in Russian will be the ugly clinic. So,
В чешском тоже есть такое слово «ужасный», значит супер классно.
На českém je to úžasný.
Úžasný.
Не
no.
úžasný, úžasný.
Já сказала так, чтобы
No,
řekla,
no,
aby to bylo rusky.
no.
Protože rusky to znamená strašidelné.
Так как говоришь, закончили, вас ждет Галина Александровна на консультацию пациента. Легко.
Co měli vtip ty polštině, víš, jak se řekne polský zástup? Víš, je zástup? Zástup je, když to je takhle za sebou vrácený, nejsou vidět.
Jo.
Takže to řekne polsky? Proše pana za tego pana, aby ten pan neviděl tego pana.
Вы хотите получше, что
To je samozřejmě vtip, to tak není. Prostě, jo.
мы
Proše pana za tego pana, aby ten pan neviděl tego pana. Vidím ze severní Moravy, příbuzný, tak to samozřejmě jde podél zapomovat. Tu dohromady. To je znamená trochu řeka.
Там очень всего может быть. Давайте сделаем перерыв, это ничего, час. Да, как хотите, и продолжим. Да.
A potom prodlužujeme.
Конечно, потом вы вернетесь и мы его продолжим. Да? Как раз на тему пациента администратор сидит, можно принимать любое время. Гинекология пройдет 15:34. Где-то так она пойдет, поэтому времени у нас есть.
Гинекология, в принципе, удобная.
Тем более, да. То есть я после лазера, я на лазере за 4 года 3000 процентов сделал.
No, работаем с половиной,
Практически половину.
je to malinká zóna, одна маленькая, не больше. Но температура хорошая. Я вам покажу одну вещь. Помните, мы работаем с... Мы охлаждаем, да? Так, почувствуйте температуру, не. Почувствуйте на коже, только на коже. Чувствуете?
Да.
Ну, там тепло.
Чувствую.
И сейчас внутри более тепло.
Больше.
Это почему? По охлаждению. Это как я вам...
Охлаждает,
Да? И будет более, как бы мы работали не 10 градусов. Но невозможно, потому что у нее нет жира.
А давайте я туда,
Да,
может,
можно, да.
чтобы не тянуть через нее.
У нас 65,
65,
60.
60, да?
Надо иметь
Она у нас
хорошего
вот
контакта
такая.
насадки. Это только на температуре, это инфракрасный сенсор.
Да, так у нас температуру измеряем.
Да,
Нажимаем, отпускаем.
да, это так. Возможно здесь, а возможно тоже здесь. Работает на все. Тоже у меня маленькие руки, смотрите, у меня очень маленькие руки. Так для меня очень экономически держи здесь, но здесь. Здесь это болезненно. Как я держу здесь, это хорошо для меня, для моей руки. Тоже надо, что как вы работаете, это не было бы так, как вы, было бы полезно для руки, как вы бы пускали. Так надо работать так. И потом, это очень несложное, easy. Сигнал, okay? Смотрите, я не держу. Я не говорю, что вы не держали, но я показаю, что не надо...
Давить.
Да.
Без силы, просто сама насадка.
Давить чуть-чуть.
Чтобы было плотно, но не сильно.
Да, вам не надо силы,
Да.
только техники. И сработать этих кругов. И помните, что контакта только здесь. Ничего второго не работает.
Я уже
И
посмотрела, что контакт только.
Здесь у вас круг. Он значит, где здесь контакт. Так, типичная ошибка, как люди работают так.
и потом у них нет контакта. Или работают так, а тоже нет контакта. Так надо работать на этом угле и потом работать. Когда вы работаете, кожа прогреет эту насадку, и она не холодная, потому что ей кожа прогреет это. Но сейчас мы не работаем, и охлаждение работает, как вы чувствуете. Чувствуете, как это холодно сейчас? Но как вы работаете с радиочастотой, это горячо. Холодно внутри насадки. Сейчас будет холодно.
Давай просто попробуем, хорошо? Чтобы она плотненькая.
Нам надо на большим кругом.
Все. Прям вот мы захватываем.
Нет, это один круг здесь, один здесь, один здесь, один здесь, один здесь. Как вы работали с одним кругом, это было горячо. Нам надо дистрибьют.
Распространить.
Спасибо большое.
Молодец, ты прям переводчик прирожденный.
Антон,
Да.
нам принесли все еду, я просто в операционную пошел.
Спасибо,
Бери
дорогой.
любой горячий и вот этот оранжевый.
Хорошо.
Твой драгон и этот. Хорошо?
Попробуйте не пройти с этим контактом директно через
Нельзя.
зя, но у вас нет контакта.
Да.
Это самое лучшее, как вы работаете так и так, так, но не через
Пупок.
пупок.
Всё.
Umbilicus.
Уже я пока вот так буду.
Да? У вас нужно like double, двойной, более больших кругов. Большие и медленные. Потом это чувствует хорошо. Хорошо.
Сейчас хорошо, сейчас холодно.
Сейчас 36 градусов. Я работал на 43, 44. Это супер терапия. Как это температура там, это самая лучшая терапия. Сейчас нет. Первый час. Nice. Хорошо.
Поняла, что
сейчас?
контакт был.
Да. Но вы работаете здесь, и потом вы пройдете на центр. Но это я начал здесь. Надо работать с этим на центре зоны, но тоже на стороне. Вы окончили здесь, но, как вы посмотрите, реально надо окончить здесь. Вы сделали круги здесь?
Выходит за нас. За наши
Это почему у
пометки.
нас это значение здесь.
Значит, мы будем ориентироваться, что у нас насадочка вот как раз вот здесь.
Да, это крыш на... Как это? It's to help you get ready.
Экран. Нет?
Нет, это не это не экран, это
Вот
здесь.
прям кружочек вот нарисован. Это
Вот
ровно
она.
две
А это-
это самое. Вот кружок
This is
я-
exactly the
Всё,
position.
я поняла, я же без этого. Все, отлично. Я включу.
Stop. The energy is on. Yes. Как машина...
Так точно надо, деточки. Вот он же кружочек, ну да. Так, сейчас мы... О, так мы сейчас сразу сообразим.
Скажите, как она пускает самые...
Не давлю? Вот скажи, по ощущениям.
По ощущениям, вот сильнее. Томас давит сильнее.
Yeah, you can press a little bit more, yeah.
Ну
Good.
как бы плотно же я делаю.
Ну вот, да, примерно сейчас одинаково.
No, it's good.
Да? Просто я не давлю, я ее просто опустила. ее весом.
Чуть-чуть давайте.
Ну, да, еще, но по ощущениям посильнее давление.
Сейчас еще.
Еще можно сильнее.
Как,
Вот так, наверное, да? Ну,
как это горячо для пациента, это лучше пускать боль.
Посильнее.
Посильнее.
ага.
Вообще другие.
Включаем.
Уже час. Понижите здесь. Так. Для контакта. Автоматическая пауза. Через полминуты это такое самое, как с маленьким сахаром. Контакт. Мув. Слово. Медленно. Но не оставляйтесь. Медленно работайте, никогда не оставляйтесь.
Я поняла, да.
Хорошо. Тепло.
Никогда не...
На одном месте
Не оставляйтесь.
Но я имею в виду большие круги с перехлестом 70
Ну, это-
градусов.
Да, это хорошо,
70%.
но вы здесь вы работали 3 круги на самом месте.
Все, я поняла.
No parking. А уже 40. Как вы
Ну,
чувствуете?
хорошо. Тепло.
Ну, сейчас хорошо. Все. Супер.
Еще.
Все время через полминуты аппарат останавливается в паузе. Так надо. Рестарт.
А мне хорошо, не горячо.
Все,
Сейчас, когда 42-43 будет, тогда горячо будет.
Тоже у вас есть большое кровооточение? Боли крови в коже и в жире. И эта кровь дистрибуирует тепло. Так это не так самое сильное, потому что эта кровь помогает вам чувствовать не так сильно, как она дистрибуирует тепло, которое из аппарата.
Вот уже низ горит.
Вы работали 4 круги на том самом месте. Надо работать, дистрибуировать.
Раз, я поняла. Переходить, не крутить надо.
Вы оставляете здесь. Это ваша самая...
Большая ошибка.
Вам нравится работать здесь, но надо работать все вместе. Вашей руке, не голове. Но это типичная ошибка, как вы думаете, вы работаете на все места.
На всей поверхности,
Да,
на всей площади.
но реально,
Чаще на одной стороне.
это комфортно для ваших рук работать здесь. Это потому, что ваша голова говорит, здесь работает немного,
А у меня, видите, не совсем дает, поэтому...
Все равно?
Тепло,
все равно?
тепло.
Направо-налево самое.
Все одинаково, да. Чувствую только вот низ вот
Низ.
здесь вот начинает жить. И через какое-то время уже вот здесь начинает горячо.
Температура хорошая. 42,5.
Восьмерка уже.
Ну, я потому что нашла твое горячее место. Я могу так сделать, да, если ей горячо?
Да.
Мы просто обходим.
Ну что? Ручки за голову.
Не могу, уже все, уже жжет, уже горячо.
И сейчас это 42, и 41, 42, супер. Ну, хорошо. Супер.
Когда с этим скалпом делаешь, то вообще просто бомба должен быть результат. Да?
Комбинируйтесь. They do combination, yeah, they use color this.
Сколько температура времени?
40 на 43.
Держаться секунды или там?
Сколько, how long we should keep this temperature?
I was telling her at the beginning, but yeah, I was trying to speak Russian. So, the minimum is 5 minutes at the therapeutic range. I try to set time for 10 minutes for her, which means 2 minutes to raise and 10 minutes to keep. So 12 minutes altogether.
Okay.
For the 10 minutes, I want to keep above 40. I was actually working 43, 44. My idea is I get as high as possible. She tells me too hot, I go down, down, down with the power. After some time, the temperature goes down. But if I start 43, 44 even, I finish 42. If she starts 41 and she goes down, she finishes 39, so it's less effective.
Okay.
So I try to keep it high. One thing, she was practicing, so it's perfectly fine. But for the real treatment, she should not practice when it's in the standby because it's cooling and it's losing the temperature. She was doing this, but for the training, it's okay. But for the real treatment, when she touches the patient, she should start the energy. Otherwise, the cooling is on when it's on standby. And if you touch the tip, it's actually cold. And it's not good to cool off because you lose the effect.
Окей. Значит, смотрите, если вы не в режиме работы, да, даже вот просто на паузе, не держите насадку на пациенте. Потому что работает охлаждение, вот сейчас вот убрали, да, то есть оторвали, то есть, но чтобы не охлаждать
Или
пациента.
сразу включать.
Или включаете сразу и...
Ну, как вы пробовали, вы работали с охлаждением только. Это мы не хотим, потому что мы охлаждаем пациента. Но сейчас все хорошо. She just did it at the beginning for the practice, so I want her to understand it was only for practice, but she should not get used to it. But she's good, and she's getting good temperature.
Услышим.
She's very good with the contact, so with that she knows what matters for the RF. because I was teaching her about the contact spot, and she never is losing the contact. With this one, if you lose the contact, it will be painful for the patient.
In this case.
Yeah,
Because this
not dangerous, but painful, yes.
Давай, это делай еще 1,5 минуты.
Да нет, давайте попробуем, как руки.
Ага.
Точно?
Нет. Сколько у вас часа? У вас 3 минуты?
Понял, да, 3 минуты.
Окей, я покажу.
Ничего страшного.
Can you sit up, please? Just sit up for a moment. Mark. This is what we treat. So I was just telling her that for arms, I'm marking even the real treatment, not just for practice, because the positioning can be tricky. Now we have to flip her over to the abdomen.
Так, переворачивайся на живот. Вот ты правильный бок. Оп, отлично. Как живот по ощущениям?
Хорошо.
Теперь руку свешиваешь вот таким вот образом. Вот так.
I will put the oil on your t-shirt. Is it okay? I use the oil, so it will be a little oily.
Тебя чуть-чуть запачкают маслом, так что ты будешь в масле.
Нормально.
I will decrease the cooling probably for either 25 or 25, okay. And 60 watts. I use the oil. This way.
Так вот смиряли, да? Так вначале, а потом
Да.
My работаем, здесь нет места на круги, мы работаем на эллипс, и I will divide upper and lower part, and I do the ellipses here, and then I go by ellipses back. So instead of circles, I do ellipses, and I do distribute them even. Relax, relax, relax.
Значит, разделяете пополам, и делаете эллипсы сюда, и эллипсом возвращаетесь назад.
Здесь половина. Работаю здесь, на этой стороне, и вернусь на вторую. Good.
Это сами сказали, да?
What is important, with my hand, I'm not lifting her arm, but I'm squeezing. So what I do, I don't lift her, I squeeze her.
Okay.
For the contact.
Increase the thickness.
Yes, exactly right.
Значит, не поднимаете, а сжимаете для того, чтобы ткань приподнялась, да, сама, увеличить толщину,
Да.
отодвинуть это от мышц,
Как горячо.
чтобы не было так.
Горячо, вот сейчас пошло. Ну, восьмерку.
Восьмерка уже?
Да.
How long
Давай,
does it take the treatment in this zone?
43, 44? Huh?
О,
Good. Sorry, I go down with the power. I would say, I think 7 to 15 minutes, depending how big lady. On this kind of lady, probably 10 minutes would be okay. 8, 10 minutes. But if it's a big lady with more fat, I would treat for longer. If it's older lady with a lot of laxity, I would treat longer. Сейчас уже хорошо?
хорошо.
Посмотрите, я работаю с маленькой мощностью, уже на 50, но температура хороша. У меня уже, думаю, как я останавливаюсь, я изменю так, 44, хорошо?
очень хорошо.
Это самая сенситивная зона. Как вы работаете так, как вы пускаете, как if you push together, это не сложно. Но это надо работать так. Как вы бы работали на спине, это нехорошо.
Поднимание.
Надо изменить угол для контакта.
Я понимаю. Наверное.
Это большие эллипсы. Вы работали такие большие, так, медленно и большие. Вы работали быстро, и у вас не был контакт. Вы слышали, как было там пип, это нет контакта. Но я думаю, что позиция так, надо так. И потом несложно. Как вы работали здесь, надо с аппликатором работать здесь. Это очень сложно. Как вы помните так, это очень легче.
My brain is boiling.
She doesn't have to really lift up, she has to rotate the tissue, that's the point. I was treating big guy in Kuwait. If I lifted his hand, I would die. I was just rotating the tissue. If she needs to lift more, she can use the towel under to or some bolster.
Вы не должны поднимать руку и держать ее, иначе вы умрете к середине процедуры. Да, от веса руки, она же расслабленная, висит на вас. В данном случае вы должны просто ее подкручивать плечо, чтобы оно чуть-чуть приподнималось. Тогда получится то, что...
Да, контакта не было.
Да. Он пищит, когда нет контакта.
Да.
То есть вы эллипсом снижаете, ротационными движениями снижаетесь наверх, вниз, потом снова наверх, потом вниз, потом снова наверх.
Но вы уже не работаете на этой зоне. Вы работаете здесь.